My name is Anthony Barocas. I am a YOLO Live user based in Dallas, Texas, United States. I say that because we've got people around the world watching today. And I create the English language tutorial content for YOLO Live. There's other people around the world that create other content. In particular, today the topic is how do we remote into YoloBox. There's two key ways to bring a remote connection into the YoloBox. And I don't mean remote locally, I mean remote like in another city. How do you bring that into your YoloBox? But if you have questions about audio, lighting, microphones, streaming, technology, throw them in the comments because this is a dialogue. You drive the show. I don't drive the show, you drive the show. I mean, okay, I did come up with a topic for today, but you drive the show otherwise. And before I forget, YOLO Live is giving away, if I can get my hand positioned just right, giving away a month of free bonding. If you already have bonding, a month will be added to what you already have. And if you, I'm just checking the audio on the in stream. If you are, okay, nobody else has joined on in stream yet, or Instagram. If you don't have bonding, then you'll be given 30 days of bonding. And it's a set amount of data that passes through. And if you don't use it all, that's just how it works. If you do use it all and run out, then it behooves you to get some more. Birdfeeder TV live stream says, how do you create your thumbnail on your YoloBox? I actually create it in Canva, and I load it into my ATEM. Or what I used to do is I would put the image on an SD card and then bring it into my YoloBox, and then I would be in front of it. But to simplify things, I now load it onto my ATEM. I actually have this one. I actually have right here. All right, so let me move out of the way. This is the studio. So these are what I'm going to show you today. This is the laptop I said I can see people sign in on. This is, I'm going out to Instagram. This is the live show being produced, and it's on Ethernet. You can see it blinking away over there. And this is my ATEM switching between my laptop, the Pro, the overhead camera, and this camera that I'm actually shooting this with right now. So that way I can switch what happens in this box over here to the right, because everything in this box is on input 2, which is right here. Camera, my main camera is on input 1, and my secondary everything is on input 2. So if I want to switch between this camera and my overhead, I just tap that button, and there you go, it's my overhead. There's my side camera. And what I did was I put the slide on the media player. So there it is. Simple. Why does my YoloBox battery die within 30 minutes? How can I fix that? YoloBox Pro batteries shouldn't die within 30 minutes unless it's old, you've been used a lot, or you're not charging it fully. Make sure you use a 3 amp or more power supply. Not a PD charger, because it doesn't use 12 volts or 9 volts or anything like that. It's 5 volts, 3 amps. So that one charger has to be at least 3 times 5 is 15. 15 watts, 18 watts or whatever, and a heavy cable. The YoloBoxes came with these thick white cables. Let's look at the overhead. The YoloBox came with these thick white cables. These have been very reliable for me. I have tried other like multi-end cables into here, and they did not work, even with the 3 amp charger. So it's not just the charger, but it's also making sure that you have cables that will deliver the full power to the device, because voltage will drop over distance. And if you have a nice long cable and it's really thin and flexible, that means the wires inside are smaller, and it's like water. A little hose can only carry so much water, whereas a big hose can carry more water. I have been testing the Ultra, and the cable for the Ultra is thicker than the cable for the Pro because it requires more power, and as such it requires a thicker cable to get more power into the Ultra. Yeah, I got multiple switches here. I literally have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 switchers here, so give me a sec to manage things. So what you're looking at right now is my YoloBox Pro. This is the YoloBox Pro. If I go to the overhead, you can see this one right here. This is what we're talking about. I have 1 camera input, but I have 2 shots that are kind of similar. Let's go back to the Pro. And I have my main camera right here, and you will see that, you know, aside from the delay, that's the camera that you're seeing on the left over here. But that camera in the main view is over here. And what that is a cell phone. And it's running, that right there is the program. And right here is my camera view, and it's basically a remote guest. Now, this right now is on Wi-Fi because it's in my office. But if you have a cell SIM card, this could be anywhere on the planet. And if you can throw a signal into and connect to the internet, it can show up as a source, and it can be anywhere. You can see it, it's very dynamic. Because you're able to select which lens you want between any of the three lenses. So you can see that this one is quite wide. And let's see, if I come over here and I say settings, camera, and I choose back telephoto camera, I say confirm, and oh, it lost me. Oh, it went to sleep. Don't know why that happened. All right, there we go. And you can see that when I now hold it out at the same length, it's much closer. Why? Because I'm on the telephoto camera. So I'm choosing between the three different cameras over here. And, you know, imagine this. Let me set it back to wide. Oops. Just close the browser. Don't close the browser. I apologize. I'm an Android user. So some of the ways that Apple is helping you kind of frustrate me, because I don't need to be helped that much. So anyway, here we go. This is the wide view. I'm going to put it back up in this little mount I've got sitting here. And that view, as you say, you know, that can be, you know, let's just say you're doing a sporting event and you want to have an interview with the coach. You can send somebody with a cell phone all the way down the sideline, and they, as long as they have a cell signal, they can be there and say, now I'm going to go to the coach. Boom. And you cut to that camera. And then when you're done with the camera, you go back to your main camera. That's pretty cool. Now, that's one way to do it. But you're not going to be doing a whole show on this little remote cell phone. What you're going to do is, if you wanted to produce a show somewhere else, let me go to this view. Let's just say I'm producing a show with this one, but I wanted to bring in another city where they're also mixing multiple cameras and doing a whole show like I'm doing. So they have the whole pro, and it's all wired in, and it's got all kinds of media and stuff like that. But I wanted to bring their show into my show. Think of, you know, in America, we have all these New Year's Eve countdowns. And you'll have the main show, which is like the ball dropping in New York City. But what they'll do is they'll say, hey, let's go check out what's going on in Miami. Let's go check out what's happening in Washington, D.C. Let's check out Chicago. Let's check out Las Vegas. Let's check out Los Angeles, you know, and they'll bounce around the country. Well, how could you do that? That's really cool. But how could you do that? Or if there's a band competition and you've got 3 stages and each stage is doing something, and you wanted to switch your main show between the stages. Well, the way you would do that, and we recently helped someone who was doing a funeral, and they were going to do the main part of the funeral was upstairs, but they wanted to get everything arriving. Now, you could do it with just the phone going through cellular, being a remote guest, but what they did is they had 2 YoloBoxes. If you start streaming, let me go overhead. If you start streaming on an external box, I have this one, it's just a countdown, and both of these are on one account, my account. If I have this one, and let's just say I need to send it to, I'm going to send it to my really? You're going to be like that? I don't know why this one's not verified, but that one's working fine. So we're going to send it to an unlisted YouTube. Oh, wait, you know what I need to do? You need to make sure first, go away, that you are sending it, no. Sorry. I'm set up, but not completely set up. You're going to use YOLO Live servers. Yes, I got it. Then You're going to come over here, and I'm going to send it to my Tech Thoughts accounts. It's going to be unlisted, and we're going to say done. And now I'm going to say go live. Yes. So this is going to start pushing to YouTube. But I'm using YOLO Live servers, and that's the key thing. So it's going up to the cloud through YOLO Live servers and then over to YouTube. It's gone. But the key thing is no sound. Yeah, got it. Don't care. Actually, I can add some sound. There. Now it's got sound. That's fine. You know, it's like I'm throwing it out there. But the fact that it's passing through my account, going through the YOLO Live servers, is an interesting feature that YOLO Live doesn't talk about. So on my other box, this little box, is in Hawaii. My main box is in Dallas. And I'm going to come over here, I'm going to add a source, and I'm going to add a live stream. Let me go over here and look at the Pro. The live stream is the third one across in white, or light gray. So I'm going to add the live stream, and it's going to check on my account, and there's my show. That's this. It's right here. I can tap on this, and if I had multiple cities, they would all show up. You can only pick one at a time, but you can go to a city, come back, blah, 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 go to a song, go to another city, come back, blah, 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 go to a third city, come back. You know, it's part of the show. I mean, you're not going to be able to switch from Chicago to Dallas, but you can go to something in between. Done. And now, right here, you see I have this program appearing over here. I can bring this up. 9, 10, 9. It's 2 seconds behind, which is not that much of a delay at all when you consider what's going on. And it's this your own little satellite relay. You know, there's no satellites, you're just using the internet. But that's kind of what it's like. So if I come over here and I take this, well, let's just see, I'll add another, I'll add a title. Lower third, that one's fine. Done. And then I add that title, there it is, to, and then there it is. So you can see that this is the actual source coming through to here, and that is how I'm bringing in both a remote camera and a remote studio. So you can have all kinds of stuff going on, and because you're broadcasting that content through the YOLO Live server, it shows up as a video source. Now you see, I cannot add a second one, but if I'm doing a show and I want to bounce between things, I come over here, I say delete, it's gone. What do you want to add? Live stream, go get the live stream, done. And that's how fast it is to switch remote streams. And that is a really slick feature that really doesn't get talked about very much in terms of being able to unify your production across multiple locations through the use of the YOLO Live servers to bring in that remote live stream that is going in here. So 2 ways to do remotes, both with a remote guest, which if you're over here, this is a little people icon, and then you come up, go to the Pro, and then you're going to invite guests. You can send an email directly, and then you just send it, or send a link to yourself, and then you can format an email and send it off and things like that. What I did was I sent it to myself, and then I shared it via iMessage over to the phone. I click on it, boop, I'm in. And then cancel this. You can mute the guest's audio by default when they connect, and then allow them to join. If you don't click this allow the participants to join, I don't know really why that's there, but if it's not active, they will bounce. They will be told it's not available. I don't know why you would send an invitation and not have it active, because if you're inviting someone to come to your party, but then you don't let them in the front door, it kind of defeats the purpose. So if this is off, they won't be able to join. If this is on, they will just pop up here. And the name that they type in on their web thing actually shows up here. So when you have Jack Skillington or whatever shows up here, it'll just pop up right at the bottom of the frame. And that's also very handy too. So you could have, Sideline, you could have Chicago, you could have, wherever that you want to designate on that feed will be there. Key differences between these two things. Again, Using a cell phone is just one piece. There's no mixing. There's just whatever that camera captures comes in. Using your YoloBox, you can switch titles. You could do a whole show, and you're just copying. You're just pulling that stream into your show. The other key difference is because the remote caller has that direct connection into the show, they're able to hear the show. They're able to hear, and now we're going to go live to Jack, who's on the sideline talking to the coach. And then they know it's coming to them. They know when to be ready. When you're pulling the feed from the server, the people who are producing the remote show don't know what's going on. They don't see the return feed. They don't hear anything. They're just doing their own thing. And then you have to pull that over into your show, but you need to coordinate what's going on if you're going to pull their show in and you want them to like talk to this new audience that they're being brought into. You have to coordinate a different way, whether it be remote communications, remote comms, telephone call, text message, whichever method you want to do. You have to coordinate that separately outside of the production because it's not included in the stream. They're just streaming. As far as their YoloBox knows, it's pushing. You're secretly pulling that into another device. So there's no way to notify them that that's happening unless you do it separately. When you have a remote guest on the phone, it's literally part of your show. So they get to see and hear everything that the show is doing. And then when you say, hey, and now let's talk to Bill, who's on the phone here, or let's talk to Bill. And there's Bill. And then back to the show. And then let's go to the other station. And let's go back to me. And that's how easy it is to bring in remote locations, whether it be directly integrated via remote guests or pulling a feed from a remote production through your YOLO Live account. Wow, that was a lot. I hope that does benefit people because it already did in the user group. The person who was working on that funeral was sort of stymied, and they're like, I have 2 YOLO boxes. I don't know how to be down there and be up here and make sure that, like, do they have to stream to one place and I have to stream to another place? How does this work? And by telling them that if they stream to just, what I do is, you saw me send it to unlisted. So it's streaming to my YouTube account, but it's unlisted. So it's not just being broadcast out there. And then because it's passing through the YOLO Live servers, I'm able to pull it. So it's not really going to a destination, but it has to be sending. It has to be streaming. That's the key thing. All right. That was a good, that was pretty deep. I hope that made sense to everyone. If you have questions on that, throw them at me. That was the topic of today's show. What can I get to give the YoloBox a strong internet instead of using a SIM card slot on the YoloBox? Ethernet. I'm kidding. Like I'm here. I have like these 2 boxes that I showed you. These are both on Wi-Fi, and my laptop is on Wi-Fi. So and the phone is on Wi-Fi. So I've got 4 Wi-Fi devices all doing stuff right here. But because I'm broadcasting from the other Pro and the in-stream, both of those are on wired. So I wanted to make sure that they had a good solid wired connection so that if there's any congestion on the Wi-Fi, the stream going out at least is solid. Is the YoloBox fully operational and available for sale? No and no. The YoloBox is currently still in beta. They are quashing bugs left and right, and it is not available for sale because shipping has not yet begun, I don't think. I think shipping was pushed back to make sure that they were shipped with the latest firmware that quashed as many bugs as possible. Quash is a very interesting word, and I hope it translates well around the world. Getting back to the YoloBox strong internet instead of using a SIM card slot. Give me a sec. You can use USB. It's a little bright, I know. I have a ZTE USB thing. The nice thing with this is the antennas are outside of all of this electronics, so sometimes it works a little better. You can use a little USB extender and put it up in the air a little bit, or you get a remote hotspot. I've been using this Netgear. This is an M1. Now there's an M5. There probably will be an M6 soon, if not already. And the magic with this hotspot is, this is an AT&T one. It's locked to AT&T. Netgear sells this as a 4x4 MIMO, multiple in, multiple out. So it can actually make 4 different connections. They tout that this will do 1 gigabit down, which is great. And that was with 4G. Don't need 5G to have super fast speeds. You just need to have smart stuff. However, AT&T limits it to 1 connection, so I never get that. It's got a battery in it, but the key thing is it's got an Ethernet port. You could use USB-C for data out, but it has the Ethernet port, and what that means is I can put this on a stand. That's why I've got a little magnet on the bottom. I put this on a stand outside the building that I'm working in, and then I run Ethernet all the way into me. So now this is outside, away from all the people, or maybe it's super high up in the air, making sure it's got a clearer, stronger signal to the tower. And that, you know, I did a wedding in the middle of a plantation, and I had this thing up on a 25-foot stand, you know, way up high to try and, you know, get line of sight to the cell towers that were kind of far away. And in the end, it worked. You know, it was a little rough because it was also getting hit by the sun, and this thing overheats, and when it overheats, it turns itself off. But using an external hotspot gives you the ability to leverage. And if you got the unlocked version of this and used maybe T-Mobile or some other worldwide carrier that did not limit it to 1 connection, your up and download speeds would both be much greater. Can you share your setup specs? Set 1080. I am doing 1080p 30, and it seems to be holding at 30 right now. Probably because most of the frame over there is not changing. So let me go back over here. Haha. Hello, remote guest is only for iPhone. I cannot turn the camera with Android phone. Help. I haven't tried it. Where's my phone? I did try it. I have an old S10, but I'll give that a shot right now. I did try it some time ago. So what I have to do is I have to delete this camera, done, and I'm going to try to sign in from my Android camera. It's got to get mail. Waiting for it. There it is. Accept the invite. And I am using, I have not downloaded a separate browser for my Android phone. I'm using the default Samsung browser that apparently, when I was dealing with a different issue, I found out 1% of the world uses. So nobody uses the Samsung browser but me, apparently. Go to the overhead view and look at my phone, see if it's not too bright. And here we are. Camera 2.1 facing front, camera 2.3 facing front, camera 2.2 facing back, 2.0 facing back. So I can choose between my different cameras. 2.1 facing front. Am I hand in the way? No data. Let's go to switch to audio. Mic's default, speakers default. 2.3 facing front. No, that's the back camera. Oh. You always get them. There is one back camera, and I think that's the wide camera. Yep, and there is the more narrow camera. So, okay, I just tested it on my Android phone, works fine. I would not say it is an Android thing because, and this is an old phone. This is a Galaxy S10. So, try a different browser. That's the thing. How can my iPhone be used as a second camera on the YoloBox Pro? I actually have 2 videos about that already. If you go to, 24 people have signed up for the contest. If you go to the website, let's go to the laptop, and let me move the overlays. If you go to the website, you'll see that there is a whole tech tips page. There's a whole list of things. And there are several videos about how to turn your cell phones into wireless cameras. So these questions, you know, I always say, go to the YouTube account, go to Tech Tips, there's so much information already there. It's like taking a course on how all the different cool things you could do with your YoloBox. If you just give yourself an afternoon and watch the videos and start playing with your YoloBox, you're going to be so much more advanced than when you started, because there's so many little features like that remote connection that we just talked about today. That's not something that, you know, is many people talk about, and it's not one of the big banner features, you know, that gets talked about a lot, but it is for those people who need it. It's a very, very useful feature to have. So go to the Tech Tips section of the YouTube page. So I appreciate everyone for being here today and talking YOLO Live, talking live streaming, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Y'all take care.